Hello and welcome back to our next session. Louise is a returning speaker, which is very exciting for us. It's always nice to have people coming back to IDTX. Seamless synergy, unleash 5 project management skills to elevate your instructional design approach. So a nice pivot, but I think building on what we've been speaking about all day. Do get involved in the chat. Get involved, get your questions in, discuss what's being talked about, and most importantly, show your appreciation throughout by hitting the like button. But I'm going to get out of the way, hand over the reins. The stage is yours.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Tom, for such a lovely introduction. I'm hoping someone can tell me if there's any audio or visual issues, but other than that, I'm just going to get going. So first of all, I'm really happy to be part of this event. I really enjoyed it last year, and I've enjoyed the vast amount of knowledge presented by our colleagues so far. So thank you to all the speakers and to Tom and all the organisers, any organising that's going on in the background. We really do have such a valuable company here. So to set the stage and provide some context for this presentation on project management skills, I wanted to kick things off by delving into my own personal journey. So this is me on East Cork Beach, getting blown away just after Christmas. So I just wanted to tell you a bit about my journey. So my journey began in software support and development, where I gained some valuable technical expertise. And then after spending some time on technical project teams, I moved into project management. And I have spent the vast majority of my career to date in project management, building up skills in strategic planning, team collaboration, and of course, delivering successful projects. So as luck would have it then, I eventually found myself managing and working on a learning and development project. And it was during this project that something clicked, and I realized that this was the area for me. So the transition into instructional design, it felt natural, and I found myself wanting to know more, which led me to a diploma in learning and development, followed by a master's in e-learning. And so right now, I am fortunate enough to work as a senior instructional designer for TWI, which is a remarkable big company based in Cork. So besides being a remarkable company, we are a team of content creators and strategists who work with the world's best tech and life science companies on their end user content experiences. So my day-to-day role includes working with internal and external clients on content strategy and production. So as you can see, I hope you can see, I've moved through the landscape from project management to instructional design, and it's been an exciting evolution. And throughout that journey, I've stumbled upon a profound synergy between project management and everything in life. But because I'm in instructional design, within instructional design, in particular with the softer or more interpersonal skills. So why am I talking about all of this? So first of all, just to touch on the project management side, it does come to no surprise to me that PMI, who are the Project Management Institute and the global authority in project management, they define these softer or interpersonal skills as power skills, skills that facilitate effective collaboration and enhance that overall success of projects. So in their latest Pulse of the Profession report, research, they say that there's a direct connection between power skills and project success, emphasizing that these skills are the means through which we bring the entire team together to execute that shared vision. So, and the reason why I talk about these skills so passionately is because AI is transforming our industry, and is in particular our own industry in content creation. And it's great. It's great to see the technical reform that's happening. But it's also crucial to recognize that our human skills, specifically these types of project management skills, are what truly set us apart. So with this session, I wanted us to take a moment to appreciate these types of skills, to see the bigger picture amidst the revolution that AI brings. And while AI takes care of the routine tasks, our project management skills such as communication, collaboration, adaptability, and time management, they shine brighter than ever. And they allow us to harness that power of AI and continue to craft the remarkable learning experiences. So the concepts I discussed today are not new, they're not groundbreaking, but my aim here is just to spark some fresh insights and to reinforce the importance of our human roles in design. And of course, as Tom said, please feel free to add your ideas on these skills and any insights you have into the chat. So first skill I'm going to talk about is the big picture. So in a project management world, you need to have the ability to see the big picture of a project. It involves understanding how the individual tasks and components fit together to achieve the overall project goal. In instructional design, big picture thinking could be referred to as holistic design or strategic design, or in the world of TWI, we called it content strategy. So this skill involves considering the broader context, goals, and impacts of the learner experience, rather than just focusing solely on individual elements or tasks. So let's consider a really simple example for looking at the bigger picture in instructional design. So just like we learned in our storytelling session yesterday, every good story starts with once upon a time. So once upon a time, in a world driven by knowledge and tech, 3 instruction designers were working on digital learning content. When asked about their work, the first designer said, "I'm turning a PowerPoint into an e-learning video." The second designer mentioned, "I'm creating a course with videos and interactive elements to engage learners." But it was the third designer who had a wider perspective, saying, "I'm breaking down the content into smaller pieces and designing how they'll be presented. This way, learners can easily find and explore the information they need now and in the future." Let's take a moment to just think about this. So those 2 first designers are focused on their tasks, which is great. They're doing the traditional work of instructional design. However, the third designer takes it a little step further. They have a broad vision of an interconnected ecosystem. I imagine this instructional designer to be using advanced techniques like metadata and tagging to build a knowledge hub. And in this hub, learners can effortlessly access the information that is most relevant to them. So the moral of the story here is that having that big picture mindset will help us to future-proof and create impactful learning experiences. So here's my advice for elevating your skills. As I was thinking about this, you'll see that I got very happy with acronyms. So I'm saying to unleash your potential for success with the VIS approach. V for visualize the big picture. Even if you're not directly involved from the start of the project or for the entire project, it's really important that we know as instructional designer where things fit. How does this learning fit into the overall big picture? The second part is really linked to this, and it's about initiating strong connections between that big picture and the work that we're doing. And the third part, which is really important as well, it's about securing future-proofing for lasting impact. We need to think about things like neurodiversity, accessibility, searchability, and adaptability. So I'm going to move on now to the next skill, which is communication. So the key to success often lies in the effective exchange of information, also known as communication. And in project management, we say that effective communication is the lifeblood of any project. This skill is highly ranked in the list of power skills, and research has consistently shown that projects are more likely to be successful when communication is prioritized and maintained throughout the project lifecycle. So what is this skill in instructional design? Well, I believe that the value of communication extends beyond project coordination. Not only do instructional designers have to communicate with the SME and the stakeholders, but they also have to convey complex concepts in a clear and accessible manner to learners. Lack of communication between developers of the course to clients and end users is probably the most jarring problem in the learning industry. And just like we did with the last skill, let's consider this really, really simple example. So once upon a time, there was an enthusiastic instructional designer working on an online training module for a dynamic sales team. It wasn't her first rodeo with this topic, so she thought she had a good handle on the content. So to kick things off, she had a meeting with the sales manager, and it turns out she ended up doing most of the talking, leaving little time for the manager to share their valuable insights. And then, as luck would have it, conflicting priorities, the sales manager didn't have a lot of time for follow-up analysis meeting. And it turns out she missed a lot of important information that needed to be transferred to the development team. This communication slip-up caused roadblocks during the module's development. Without a complete understanding and the missing pieces of the puzzle, the team struggled to create a training module that truly resonated with the dynamic sales team. So this story just serves as a reminder that active listening and creating a balanced conversation from the start are key in instructional design projects. Instructional designers need to be able to ensure a smooth flow of knowledge, in particularly at the start of the project. So besides active listening, I think there are loads of other skills that we can work on and keep in mind. So here comes my second acronym of today. STAR. Let's harness the power of STAR communication in instructional design. S is for seek understanding. We need to embrace our active listening skills to truly comprehend the perspective of stakeholders and learners and team members. By doing this, we are laying the foundation for meaningful learning experiences. Transmit clearly. As you move through your instructional designer work, I think we need to be able to work on our concise messaging. And that means, through our regular, consistent progress updates, right through to the delivery of the content. A is for adapt to connect. And this is something that has come up a lot in the last few days. We need to recognize the diversity within your audience and change your communication style accordingly. You'll know that some people prefer visuals for status updates, so that might be your high-level stakeholders. And then images and storyboards for SMEs. And some SMEs even like to have, their handheld while they walk through the storyboards. And then we need to think about brainstorming for team meetings. And of course, there's a great tool that project managers use. It's called a stakeholder register, which you start with at the beginning of a project, and you fill in what everybody's communication method is, what their preferred communication method is. So that's a good way to get started. And or then is respond thoughtfully. So this is all about the feedback piece. So this is something that resonates with me, especially, I suppose it's very hard when you spend a lot of time working on something as an instructional designer and you get feedback, and it mightn't be, your most wonderful feedback ever. So for me, it's all about taking a deep breath. And then it's all about creating that open atmosphere of trust and collaboration that will allow people to continue to give you feedback and continuous improvement then in your instructional design endeavors. So if you have a minute, tell me in the chat and we'll hopefully come back to it at the end. Do you have any communication tips? So let's move on to the next skill, which is collaboration. So as Steve Jobs once said, great things in business are never done by one person. They're done by a team of people. And the PMI also say that maximizing project potential through collective brilliance is what collaboration is all about. In instructional design, collaboration really comes to the fore. It focuses on actively working together towards a common goal. We have to pool so many skills, so many pieces of knowledge, and so many various pieces of expertise together to get the optimal result. It goes beyond communication, and it includes aspects like team working, idea sharing, brainstorming, and joint problem solving. It should really cultivate that culture of trust and partnership. So let's look at a different kind of example for this. So this is obviously a perfect collaboration scenario. So once upon a time, in a world of learning and creativity, an instructional designer embarked on a thrilling collaborative journey to create an instructional video. They partnered closely with the subject matter expert, and they established feedback loops and took ownership to enhance the content. In a team meeting, the project team lead, the architects, and the designer united in their commitment to the overall project goal. They reviewed the overall big picture to check it fits, and then they collectively reviewed the script. The designer even presented visual ideas, fostering a sense of shared responsibility for the project's success. To continue the accountability, the designer agreed to storyboard the script and proposed visuals. They set a clear deadline for reverting with a polished version, and the team committed to timely reviews and feedback. We then handed over to the skilled voiceover artist and the media team who contributed visual and audio animations. And so the project culminated in a highly successful and impactful instructional video. And the team completed their project feeling motivated by their successful outcome. And they all lived happily ever after. I get it. In real life situations, we often find ourselves in a one-man band scenario. I certainly have, where you're juggling multiple roles. You're not only the audio person, but you're also the media person. So that doesn't mean that we can't learn from the perfect team example. So here's another acronym for you. This one makes sense. It's called TEAM. It's the team model, and I'm sure you've heard of it before. So T is for trust, and this is the foundation that our perfect team set up. They allowed their members to freely contribute ideas, providing constructive feedback, and openly communicate through it. So how can we learn from this? So I think something that is really obvious, but sometimes not really done, is establish that regular team meeting check-in. I think it's really necessary to have that time slot in the calendar. Even if you don't need it, it's sort of reinforcing the point that you will have an open forum to discuss anything that comes up. E is for engagement. Engagement in this team, in our perfect team, was when they brainstormed and designed the course content. Each member actively contributed. What are our learnings here? So for me, I know a good tool for a brainstorming session is to never show up empty-handed, especially when you're at that analysis phase. Do your research, don't come with a blank page, come with some ideas mapped out on paper. It really helps to start that conversation. A is for accountability. So in our perfect team example, they work together to set up their deadlines. I think this is a good way to go with this. I think being able to show accountability collaboratively is a great tool to have. But I also think showing accountability and deadlines on a progress map, on a project plan is really useful, because then you can show everybody the impact of hitting those deadlines and hitting the deadlines collaboratively. M is for motivation, which is what's consistently fueled by our team's shared vision. They fostered a culture of celebration and recognition. I think this is so important for our teamwork. We need to be able to work together and show our progress, and we need to be able to back each other and celebrate our achievements. So tell me in the chat, and we'll hopefully come back to it, how do you cultivate your team environment? So on to our next superpower or power skill. Adaptability. As a project manager, adaptability means being able to navigate changing circumstances, unforeseen challenges, and shifting priorities while also keeping the big picture in mind. Adaptable instructional designers are flexible in their thinking and approach, recognizing that organization and learners have diverse needs and preferences. They're willing to modify their design plans or delivery methods based on their feedback. Also based on emerging tech, which is more common, or evolving learning goals. So again, let's look at a short example. Suppose an instructional designer has been working on the development phase of an e-learning course. It contains media elements such as simulations and video content, along with images and text that all align with the original branding guidelines. However, during that development phase, the company decides to undergo a complete rebranding process, resulting in a completely new set of branding elements. Resisting the change would cause inconsistency, confusing the learners, disrupt the experience, and a jarring experience between old and new. It also would cause a missed opportunity for brand reinforcement. So in this situation, what should an adaptable and flexible instructional designer do? And what can we learn from looking at this scenario? Guess what? I have another acronym model for you. It's called FLEX. So I'm saying that we should try and apply the FLEX model to see what an adaptable instructional designer could do. So F is for foster open-mindedness. Now, admittedly, this is difficult when you're in the middle of developing and you find you have to redevelop. But we could start by embracing the change and educate ourselves, being open to the new branding guidelines. We can engage in the initial discussions, we can seek perspectives, and we can seek ideas on how to adapt to the new branding elements. L is for learning and growing. So we can take the opportunity to learn about the new branding guidelines, why they're changing and what's changing. Also think the bigger picture here. Think how much time this would save on our next project if we already knew how to implement these branding changes. E is for embracing change. Recognizing the significance of the branding process, the designer can adapt their mindset and approach. And they can identify areas in the course that need revisions and kill two birds with one stone. So if you have a video that already needs an uplift, then, why not do the branding and the uplift together? X is for explore options. So with this, we need to explore what's going to happen to our all-important timeline. And we need to explore different options for maybe working to that timeline, incorporating the new branding elements. We might need to do a bit of creative problem solving and some innovative brainstorming. We need to collaborate with the branding team and seek feedback from colleagues. Maybe can help provide some valuable insights and ideas. So what do you think? Have you ever come across some disruptive things while you're mid-project? Maybe you have an example to share with us. So on to our fifth and final skill that I want to talk about today. So in project management, you'll always be judged by your ability to meet deadlines. And working in the instructional design role, it's not that different. Also, you have that added pressure that your role may be that final piece of a puzzle for the delivery of a new software product. We all know as instructional designers how difficult it is to get this time management piece down. It means creating realistic timelines for each stage of the design and development phase. But what's often forgotten about is the review cycle and the production and that all-important quality phase. So a familiar scenario to you as an instructional designer might be where the project team holds an unrealistic expectation regarding the time required to plan, design, and produce e-learning content. For instance, they might believe that creating a comprehensive e-learning module can be accomplished in just a few days or weeks, neglecting the planning, the research, and the testing that's involved. This can lead to a huge amount of stress, and it can even damage the instructional designer's reputation. So some advice for this. Some advice for this, again, in an acronym form. My last acronym, I think. So I'm saying we should use the word PACT. So P is for prioritize. So identify and prioritize tasks based on their importance and urgency. Determine the critical milestones and deadlines to stay on track. Think about what we know as the critical path. In terms of instructional design, the critical path refers to the sequence of tasks that are essential for completing a project within a desired timeframe. These tasks, when they're impacted, will have a direct impact on the overall timeline of the project. So when you're looking at your tasks, once you've done your breakdown after your analysis, you need to pick out those important tasks and you need to highlight them and communicate that any delays in those will directly impact the timeline of the project. Allocate time. So we need to allocate time to those particular project tasks. And we also need to let people know in advance that they're coming down the tracks. So we need to do resourcing and collaborate with our team members. Communicate expectations. So this is my favorite. And this is something I think I've got better at over the last few years. So, and one of the things that I've done is I've had a sample piece of material with different engagement levels or different interactive levels at the ready for this analysis phase. And also in line with those, I would have ready some timelines that match up so that you can show what you're expected to develop, and you're setting your expectations of your stakeholders then. And T then is for track progress. So I really think, and maybe this is the project manager in me or the training for years, that looking at progress and watching milestones go from 0 to 50 to 100 over the weeks when you're doing your regular check-ins, I think that's hugely motivating for a team. And everyone needs to be able to see that things are moving forward, and everybody can then see that you're keeping things on track. So that's the end of my set of acronyms. And just one final slide here, just to wrap up. Just to take a moment to appreciate the journey we've been on. We explored the power of acronyms like VIS, STAR, Team, STAR, Flex, and Pact. And while I initially pondered putting them all together in one mighty sentence, like be an instructional design star through a pact to flex your team's collaborative muscles and visualize transformative learning, I realized that that might have been a little bit too cheesy. So instead, I just wanted to remind you to not forget the mighty superpowers that are hidden in our softer skills. And before we part ways, one final note, there's still 14 letters of the alphabet that I haven't used here today. So that could be either next year's challenge, or it could be a reminder that there's always more to learn and explore in this soft skills field. Let me know if you have any comments or questions, or feel free to reach out on socials. Thank you for your time.
Fantastic.
Back to you, Tom.
No, thank you so much. There was loads in there for us to all take away. If anyone's got any questions, now is the time to be dropping them in the chat. I know there's some great conversation there, just around kind of like how we work with our teams, and kind of how we make sure they're getting what they need. So no, really great. Thank you for being active in the chat, Kim. Not seeing any questions, but I'll give it just a moment. I know there's a little bit of a delay rather. There you go, Carmen. Thank you for joining us, Carmen. Brilliant. Okay. Well, I don't think there's any questions right now, but I think we've already had it with a lot of speakers where there've been no questions there in the moment, and then they go a couple of hours after my session, I got all these messages.
That's because it's perfect, right?
Yeah, that's it. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out to come and share with us today.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you for all joining us in the audience. Our next session is at 3 o'clock GMT with Daryl Headley about how using AI as an assistant can create some compelling new ways of creating content. So a nice AI topic going into this afternoon. But until then, thank you all, and we'll see you soon. iSpring is an e-learning software provider dedicated to streamlining e-learning worldwide. With a team of top industry specialists, they create tools that make e-learning both efficient and enjoyable. Their AI-powered course creation tool, iSpring Suite, and the iSpring Learn LMS are the top choices for thousands of instructional designers, L&D pros, and content developers. Crafted with the user workflow in mind, iSpring ensures a seamless experience for the creation of impactful learning content. Their website, iSpringSolutions.com, offers a treasure trove of e-learning resources perfect for those seeking to boost their L&D career or elevate their organization's e-learning practices. You can check out the iSpring Solutions website using the link in the description below.